Hi, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today is about what has power over you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser. Thank you for joining me today as we continue our discussion and me trying to provide value to you as you go through this journey of your business, of trying to create teams that actually want to be there, that actually are invested in being there. They want to be part of your growth in your business, in your industry, and they want to be in your world, right? You've created this world, presumably, in the form of your business that you're offering to your community, to the at-large consumers out there, and you need people to help you do that. So you've put together these teams, whether it be part of your family or total strangers off the street that you have interviewed and hired for positions. But now the real fun part starts about how to get those people to work together, work towards a common goal, and then actually kind of want to do it versus they just have to do it because they have rent due and they've got to eat and all those types of things. And that's what this podcast is all about, is trying to give you those insider looks, the secrets, if you will, of how to create and how to lead these teams to be successful in your particular business. And part of this today isn't so much focusing on what can you do to connect with your teammates, what can you do to encourage your staff, what can you do as the leader to create a culture. This is about what can you do as the leader to help you. And I'm sure, well, at least I would hope that you have, although I wouldn't be surprised if many of you haven't, because I didn't hear this saying until I was probably in my late 30s or so that I first heard this saying. And it really it was one of those like bing moments, and it makes so much sense. And I'm like, how did I not come to this conclusion on my own? And why have I been suffering for so long with this concept and not understanding it? And that's the saying of, by getting angry at somebody or staying angry at somebody, you're giving them power over you. Let me say that again. By getting angry at somebody or staying angry at somebody, you are giving that person power over you. And think about that for a moment. What does that mean? Giving them power over you. Well, on the surface, it means they're controlling you. They're controlling your emotions. They're controlling probably your actions in the form of how you talk or how you do things, whatever that is that you're angry about. That they control you in the form of how you relate to other people, because now it affects those other relationships, because maybe this person spurned you or burned you in some form or fashion, and now you're extra cautious with dealing with your spouse at home or your kids or other business partners or other employees or staff members, whatever that is. And it's just, if you start thinking about it and just past the surface, third, fourth, fifth, 10th layer order effects, it really is power that you are continually, by choosing to stay mad, by choosing to continue to be angry at that person or event, you are giving them power over you. And I want to talk about this for a moment because it's so easy. And sometimes, raise your hand if you're guilty of this, you kind of like it, right? You enjoy being mad because we feel justified in it. We feel vindicated and validated that, yes, I am right. And the reason I am mad is because you were wrong. You did me wrong. You did my business wrong. You did my family wrong. Whatever it is that was wrong, you feel kind of like, yeah, I was on the right side of this. Like, I'm vindicated and justified by it. But then you go past that and then it becomes like, I can't believe Jeff did that over there, or I can't believe Sally said those things about me, or whatever else that other situation was. And you continue to let it control you, and you continue to think about it. Because guess what? If you're thinking about what Sally did behind your back, or the negative rumors that she was spreading to other people in your office, you're not thinking about growth. You're not thinking about what you can do to increase your client satisfaction. You're not thinking about, how do I create this awesome culture where people want to be a part of? You're not thinking about, what's the latest innovation that I need to get in front of? You're not thinking about how many different ways I can continue to market and get out of obscurity in my community and my industry, right? You're thinking about, Sally. And Sally's just, she's gone on her way. She's doing her thing. Like, so what, man? And I really want you to take a moment and think about that as you're hitting that like button, as you are hitting that subscribe button, as you are sharing this with your friends, and you're like, oh, man, my wife really needs to hear about this because, she's really letting our neighbor, friend, lady, whatever, control her emotions because she goes to bed so angry at her every night because she's complaining about blah, 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 blah. Whatever that is going on. We all have a million different situations that we get a little bit peeved about with other people and situations and events. But this is really helping as you understand this concept of by you having this emotion, usually in the negative sense, whether it be anger, fear, hurt, that power that you are allowing them to control you with does no good. There is no upside to this. You have abdicated your ability to think, to process, and it's not about controlling your emotions per se in that sense, but it is about recognizing and addressing them in a way that is beneficial to you and not harmful to you. And I think we can all agree that giving somebody else that power can really do nothing but harm you, even in the best of intentions, right? You never want to abdicate that kind of authority to somebody else, especially when it comes to your emotions, because it's kind of the root of everything else. How you are, how you act, the way you perceive things, all those types of interpersonal communication. And when we get in this situation, we need to recognize that, yes, it is usually from some external circumstance, event, saying, interaction that has happened to you to where you are reacting, right? You are in full-on reactionary mode instead of analytical mode, instead of, thinking mode, instead of planning mode and executing mode. You're just pure reaction of, man, I am pissed off at Jeff over there. I am so hurt by Sally and what she had to say about me in the, when I thought she didn't hear me because we were in the restrooms and I was in the stall and they didn't know I was there and they were, doing their little chit chat thing. But how we react to those events and how we continue to respond to them, specifically emotionally and mentally in our brain, is what is actually controlling us. And if you're not careful, if you continue to let that happen, if you continue to live in those moments of hurt, of pain, no matter how kind of good or vindicated you feel at the beginning, it only leads to bad things, and it will only start affecting you negatively, probably in ways you don't really understand or see right away. But soon enough, they will become evident. They will become evident in how you start to treat other people. They will become evident of how you interact with your clients and your customer base. It will become evident in how you react at home, because you start making these assumptions that everybody is like that because you've had this hurt and it was so significant, right? A significant emotional event. That's kind of a popular military saying is, you just had a significant emotional event and how are you going to handle that? And that's what I'm talking about. If you don't handle it, if you continue to let it handle you, nothing good is going to come out of it. And it is so much more difficult to dig yourself out of that hole, right? We kind of all understand this concept of time does not ease the pain of getting over things. Is that the right way? Like, there's that time heals all wounds, but there's also the expectation that you're working to heal the wounds, and time is the factor of it, right? We're not going to get over a sudden death of a family member right away, and time will help that heal. But on the flip side of a significant emotional event in the negative sense, an external, a hurt, where you're angry at somebody, time doesn't necessarily heal that. Time may deaden it and numb it, but it doesn't heal it. I think we've all, seen enough movies and experienced enough, from, childhood trauma, this, my parents did that, and, I've carried that through my entire life. Completely valid or not, you're continuing to let that thing control you. You're continuing to let that experience, whether it was in your childhood, young adult, college, whatever, control you. And how do you get away from that? Because, like I said, it's our thoughts, it's our mood, it's our ability to plan ahead, it's our ability to dream, it's our ability to go after something with all these other emotions that are still tying and trying to take us down with that. And I want you to really kind of think about that. Again, as you're smashing that like button and sharing and subscribing, definitely if you have a comment about this, please do me a favor and ask your question or leave it. I would love to interact with you in that manner. But as you're going through this process and thinking about these ways of, maybe it's subtle at this point. You've got over the heat of the anger, right? We've all had those moments where we're just like, we just want to be like, come on, take on the world. And it's now turned into a simmering resentment or a simmering pain or some sort of, bitterness that has taken hold of our heart and our mind. And you can recognize it if you're paying attention of, if that person walks into the room, you're just kind of like, you give them that little cold shoulder. This was a big problem for me is I was accused of the silent treatment because part of me, I just disengage. That's my natural go-to is like, whatever, I'm not that vested or it's not really worth it for me. So I start to disengage and I started to understand that and recognize that about me. That's my form of giving other people power over me is that I disengage from them and to the point that it could hurt me because they could still need something that I need to do my job or to make this company successful, right? And they're just not good situations. So as you think about this, what does that look like for you in the sense of, is it red hot anger? Is it burning bitterness? Is it resentment? Is it you now go and, tit for tat kind of action, you gossip behind their back because they gossip behind your back and all those types of things. And then how do you get out of that? Is it going to them and, asking for forgiveness? Is it just forgiving them and letting them be them? Is it something as the leader that you need to address because you haven't been and it's inappropriate behavior that you need to nip in the butt? What is that for you? And that's something, again, as the leader, you're called to do. That is your responsibility to handle that. But today was more about you and how you internalize things, how you take those external events that are, probably negative, and let those kind of seriously affect you and continue to affect you. So don't let other people have power over you when they don't deserve it. Okay. Some people, yes, you submit to them, a spouse, children, parents, brothers, sisters, all those types of things. You submit certain portions of yourself to them. Certainly, definitely in a marriage type of a situation, but other people have no right to control your emotions. They have no right to demand that of you, and you shouldn't give it to them. Definitely not voluntarily. And you also hear that, they've been living in my head rent free. That's the same type of a saying is here they are, they're occupying all this mental capacity and this thinking power and emotional investment totally rent free where they're not getting anything from it and you're not getting anything from it from them, right? Which means kind of a negative sense. So I just wanted to kind of bring that out because it's something I've been struggling with, honestly, a lot off and on, probably more on than off. And it's a daily struggle, but it's something I remember, especially in the heat of the moment. If I see something that my initial gut reaction is kind of like, like I want to not fight or anything, but I want to, like, my hackles get up and I'm like, I start to get that justifiable anger or righteous anger. I realized, like, why would I give this total random stranger that's just kind of being a jerk or whatever that is, on the road or driving or walking or any random encounter, why would I give that stranger power over me? I mean, for all intents and purpose, they mean kind of nothing to me. They have no impact on my daily life. They're not my spouse. They're not my kids, my parents, anything of that nature. So why would I continue to allow that person to have that power over me? And the answer is don't. It's time to stop doing that. And that's something that you recognize yourself and you maybe can't do it on your own. Talk to somebody. Open up to somebody else that is interested in helping you, and maybe that's a therapist, right? Maybe you don't have that person in your life that you can do that to, whether it be friend or spouse, girlfriend, parents, brothers, sisters, anything of that nature. Talk to a therapist and they can help you with that. So that was the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets therapy session for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gets you thinking a little bit and also helps you recognize areas where you may be abdicating your power to other people. So I would encourage you to stop doing that. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. Have a fantastic afternoon no matter where you're at in the world. Bye.